What's good, Steelers Nation? Been an eventful, maybe slightly frustrating week with the whole Brandon Ayuk trade saga going on with Omar Khan and John Lynch and a good old standoff at the moment. But it's game day. We got some football to talk about. Steelers host the Houston Texans tonight at home in prime time. Per usual, treating this like a game week. I'm going to preview the game. I'll be back on later tonight to recap what happened. And then my goal is to get not one, but two film rooms up. Maybe one for everybody, and then an additional one for the channel members as well. I'm super excited. I know you guys are too. Just make sure you drop a like, drop me a comment on who you're most excited about seeing play tonight. And then if there's anyone that you guys would like to see me break down for a film room in the future, drop that as well. So shout out to our sponsor, Homage. Head over there to get your Steelers gear for the season. Just use the link in the description. I'm going to be doing some giveaways for the channel coming up soon. So I'm excited about that as well. So, if you're new to the channel, I know some of you guys are. Typically, I'll do a preview going over the opposing teams, highlighting certain matchups, talking scheme, numbers, all that kind of stuff. Preseason is a little bit different, obviously. Mike Tomlin's ruled out, I think, 7 guys for tonight. Russ said that he wants to play in the preseason, but they're going to hold him out tonight. He's missed pretty much all of camp up to this point. Has been practicing a little bit more of late in the last couple of days. Justin Fields going to get the nod with the starters, running with the first team. TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward. Sitting this one out, really not a surprise. We don't have anything to learn about those guys, just keeping those guys as fresh as possible. Veteran guard Isaac Seumalo been getting a good amount of vet days off really throughout camp. He's over 30 years old, got some wear and tear on his body. So just trying to keep him fresh as well. Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith have some minor injuries that they're working through. PQ told me at Friday Night Lights he's good, just a really minor thing. I actually think he practiced a couple of days ago, so nothing to worry about there. Alex Highsmith has a groin injury from a couple of days ago. Hopefully that's not something that linger, but nothing to really sound the alarms over. Just a couple guys that you will not see in pads tonight. On the other side, Houston Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans has said that he's going to play his starters. How much remains to be seen? We'll kind of see. But this is a good barometer, I feel like, for this Steelers team. Houston's a team that won a playoff game last year. This is a really good roster from top to bottom. His defense ranked number 1 in the entire NFL in rushing success rate last season. Lots of split safety, zone coverage looks. They got a premier cover guy on the outside, Derek Stingley. Will Anderson, I think, is really a star in the making on the edge. And just some really good personnel over there. He has a good coaching staff with him, too. Bobby Slowick received some head coaching looks throughout the offseason. Slowick gave the Steelers the business last year. All kinds of issues in their matchup. He's from the Shanahan tree. They do some wide zone play action stuff and really some similar concepts across that kind of branch. But I was really impressed by just last year, like how he pushes the ball down the field. I feel like his drop back passing game was pretty expansive. He does some cool stuff in that regard. And I think anytime like you're on an offensive coordinator and you get a rookie quarterback to play and operate at that type of level that we saw from CJ Stroud last year, super, super impressive. So, speaking of quarterbacks, going to get our first look at Justin Fields. I cannot express how excited I am to see him play in the black and gold. If you haven't seen the hour-long, I think, Justin Fields film room on the members channel, be sure to sign up. Check that out. You can watch that before the game. But I think he's a pretty rare athlete with some very intriguing tools to work with. I know things didn't really work out the way that he or they wanted them to in Chicago. But I like the gamble by the Steelers. I'm excited to see what he looks like, especially in the preseason. I know he can run around. We'll probably see some of that. But I'm most interested in seeing how he's going to operate within the pocket. Want to see him play on time, especially in the quick game aspect of the game. Just want to see how he's grasping, the passing game concepts in Arthur Smith's offense. Like Mike Tomlin said, you don't want to strip him away of those natural gifts, those instincts that he has as a playmaker. But I do want to see an efficient passer tonight. I want to see him push the ball down the field, take care of the football. He's been a lot better in Steelers practice over the past week, which I recapped, from my trip to Latrobe. I'm excited to see if he can carry that performance over to the games. Like Mike Tomlin said, these matter more than practices do. Get to see some live bullets, see him in live action. Let's see if he can make this thing a true quarterback battle. We'll see. Just kind of reviewing some other guys on offense that I'm excited about. Calvin Austin III, got to talk to him quite a bit after practice a couple of days ago. What does his route running look like? Specifically, how's he getting in and out of his breaks now that he's fully confident in that foot? Even if the Steelers do acquire another wideout, of course, the Brandon Ayuk thing's taken up all of the news cycle over the past 4 or 5 days. There's still room for him to carve out a role. Something I talked to Calvin about is, Arthur Smith in the past, he's utilized guys with his kind of build. You think of A guy like Khalif Raymond, who I kind of used as a comp for Austin coming out of college. And then Zacchaeus from his days in Atlanta. So I think there is still a path for him to carving out playing time and for him to get some design touches to kind of take the lid off of defense. We know he's fast, but can he keep defensive backs honest beyond just running in a straight line? And I think that's really the question that still needs to be answered. We're still going to see some George Pickens tonight. I would assume he's developed quite the rapport with Justin Fields of late. They've really kind of caught fire in practice over the last week. And I think Van Jefferson's going to be the other starter in 12 personnel. And those guys, Jefferson and Calvin Austin specifically, been working really hard, hitting the jugs machine after practice, 300 balls a day. So we'll see. Hopefully that hard work, comes to pay off for him. As far as the running backs, I don't really need to see Najee Harris. I mean, he did very little in the preseason last year. We probably see a little bit of Jalen Warren. I know everybody's excited about that duo and what this kind of looks like in the Arthur Smith wide zone system, but not really sure how much burn you really want to give those guys. Those guys are going to get a ton of touches once the regular season runs around. You're always trying to keep your running backs fresh this time of year, but it'd be cool to see them get a couple outside zone runs just so we can look at it, see what it looks like in live game action. But again, I think it's going to be mostly backups tonight. Cordero Patterson been nursing an injury. He hasn't practiced really at all. So, but one name to keep an eye on Jonathan Ward. He come on Latrobe. He's got a legit chance, I think, to make the practice squad. He's got some burn to him. So it wouldn't surprise me if he broke off an explosive run tonight. I want to see him get quite a few carries. Hopefully that happens. He's probably the running back that I'm most excited to see play tonight. So, without Sam Allo, like I mentioned, I think Spencer Anderson's going to get the start at left guard. He's kind of a guy that was on the fringe of like my 53-man roster prediction for SteelersNow.com a couple weeks ago. But let's see if he can secure a spot now that they've kind of figured out what position suits him best. If you recall back last year during preseason, we got to see him play both guard spots, a little bit of tackle, a little bit of center to finish off training camp. So he's a guy they've moved around quite a bit. It seems like now they've really hammered him into like a guard role. So I want to see how he plays. It seems like he's having a pretty solid camp. So, of course, Troy Fautanu and Broderick Jones are two guys that I think everybody's going to be keeping a close eye on. I'm not sure if the Texans are going to play, Will Anderson, like I mentioned earlier, or Daniil Hunter, who they acquired from the Vikings a bunch. But that would be awesome if we could get some good reps between those guys. Not sure if we'll see a ton, but at least a couple would be nice to see. I want to see Broderick work some at left tackle. Seems like in the last couple of days, we've started to see him transition a little bit over to that left side after playing mostly on the right throughout the summer. Just want to see really where he's at from a technical standpoint. Is he getting to his landmarks in pass protection? Is he lunging? Is he using independent hands? What does that look like in pass pro? Don't really have a lot of concerns about him in the run game department. And then really, I think like best case scenario is that Troy picks things up pretty quickly and they just don't have a choice but to play him, which again would shift Broderick over to the left side, which I know is what all of you guys, like you all remind me a lot on Twitter, all of you guys are looking forward to. So, but best case scenario, is kind of that playing out. But the other young guys, of course, Frazier, McCormick, all those draft picks, especially in pass protection, worth keeping an eye on. I want to see how Frazier handles power. McCormick more so what he's going to do if he's left on an island, and you see him having to kind of slide and mirror quicker pass rushers. Those are things I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully, we get some good reps from those two guys. At the tight end position, Darnell Washington, I think, caught more passes in the 3 days that I was in Latrobe than he did all last season. Can they get him a little bit more involved? I don't ever think he's going to be a high volume pass catcher by any means, but I do think preseason's a good way to give him a couple design touches, like even if they're, play action bootlegs, getting him out in the flat, running him on some deep overs. I do think that his build has a little bit of stiffness to him, so he's not going to be this crazy diverse route runner or anything like that, but you can work this guy at the seams, maybe give him an opportunity in the red zone to go up and get the ball, high point the football. We'll see if that happens, but I'd just like to see them just see what it looks like, get him a little more involved in the offense. Defensively, if you guys have read anything that I've wrote for SteelersNow.com, y'all know that I'm expecting a pretty big season from Keanu Benton. But I think the depth behind the starters is still a huge talking point. Fajoko's been a little bit banged up. We haven't seen Dean Lowry at all. I think he's still on the PUP list. I don't really feel confident at all in the depth guys. We still got Montravius Adams. But hopefully tonight helps, calm me down a little bit in that regard. Interested to see which of those guys steps up. DeMarvin Leal's playing a little bit more edge. They said that he weighs like 275 right now. I'm not really sure that's the best long-term fit for him, but it just doesn't seem like they have like a full plan for him. Still not sure how to best utilize him. He's just not twitchy enough in my eyes to really threaten that corner consistently, which is a huge part of playing edge in general, especially in a 3-4 scheme. Maybe there's a path to him being a pocket pusher, and a plus run defender in a reserve role. Not really sure, but I will say this: he looked more confident, more competitive in camp. Get chippy with guys after the play, playing to the whistle. Those things I think are encouraging, and we'll see if he can do enough to, kind of beat those tweener allegations and carve out a role for himself. But, a guy like Nick Herbig dominated last preseason. Super excited about him. In camp, I noticed that he was still springy as ever off the ball. Wouldn't shock me if he had a really good game tonight again, but I do want to see if he's added a little bit more power to his profile. I think they're going to try to do some 3 edge sets, hopefully on defense this year, to just get him a little bit more on the field, some more snaps in addition to, Watt and Highsmith, and those types of looks. But I'm excited about Herbig. He's definitely a guy that I'm keeping my eye on tonight. Should see plenty of Peyton Wilson, no Patrick Queen. Landon Roberts is a vet. Like, you typically don't see guys like that, get a ton of playing time in the preseason. This will be a good test for Peyton, I think. The Texans run a ton of high-low concepts that really test your linebackers, and I want to see his spatial awareness, just feel for route concepts developing around him, especially if they're going to get him some looks in some dime packages as the season goes on. Mark Robinson's another guy after they signed Tyler Matakevich, a special teams demon. Robinson's the guy who has to play very, very well to make this roster in my eyes. So he's another guy that's kind of fighting for, his spot on the 53. In the secondary, lots of intriguing players here. Corey Trice getting his first real game action in nearly 2 seasons. I was super excited about Trice when they landed him on draft weekend, for those of you guys that were around for that. But I think the Steelers really want him to be their top backup on the boundary, behind guys like Dante Jackson, Joey Porter Jr. He's been getting some down work as well with the first team defense. I think that's encouraging. It's a way to kind of use his length versus bigger bodies inside. So Trice, definitely want to see how he looks. How does he look physically? His transitions, his top speed, all that stuff. Beanie Bishop, it's not very often that you see a team, especially like the Steelers, have to rely on an undrafted free agent to be a starter right out of the gate. But that's pretty much what we've got here. I mean, Beanie Bishop's been running with the first team, and I think deservedly so. Like, he's made some plays throughout training camp. Cam Sutton suspended for the first half of the season. This is a guy who's going to play a significant amount of snaps. So they need him to play pretty well. This is a really good opportunity for him to get to go up against some really good competition. Even if the Texans don't really play Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs very much in this contest, the Texans receiving core is super deep. I mean, they've got a lot of guys that are going to be playing football on Sunday, even if it's not necessarily in Houston. So I think getting him, especially in pass coverage, getting him some reps against some good competition will be eye opening for sure. Something I'm going to be watching for. And then Ryan Watts, rookie from Texas. Been making a ton of plays, honestly. He's getting his hands on the football consistently. He's playing safety now, so we're getting a little bit of a transition there from his time at Texas, where he played mainly boundary cornerback, but he's also played some dime backer. So how early do we see him on the field tonight? I would bet it's probably somewhere in the first half. But how comfortable does he look back there, especially in his zone drops? A big question for me. I think he's a really good tackler. Should be a pretty good player on special teams with his size, athleticism, his frame. But he's a guy I'm excited to see tonight. So in case you guys can't tell, I'm really excited for the season. Big things coming for the channel. Hopefully the team as well. Lots of content coming your way, not just on here, but on SteelersNow.com. I'll be back tonight after the game to recap kind of what happened. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a crazy Justin Fields game and I'll have no choice but to go live for you guys. But, as soon as I get the film, hopefully tomorrow at some point, I'll start cutting that stuff up for you guys as well. Just again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, or consider becoming a member to the channel. If you guys enjoy my content, want to support my work, hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. Don't stress out too much. Don't worry about the outcome of the game. Wins and losses don't really matter. Let's just hope we get some good performances from some of these guys, some of these young guys, some of the guys looking to crack the roster. I'm extremely excited about it. I know you guys are as well. So enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your weekend as well.